Hey everyone, today I'm going to give you a deep dive into ISSA's yoga certification. So this is the Yoga 200 certification. And I have to say that from the start, I was genuinely blown away at how comprehensive the material was for this. Now, to be clear, I looked at the price first and went, oh, wow, that's a lot. And then I realized what you got for that particular course, and I was willing to pull the trigger and see what happened, and it turns out it was fabulous. So, first things first, the virtual study studio. So, every week there are live weekly Zoom sessions. Now, they do get recorded, and I believe you can find them not down here, but somewhere over here. You'll look down through all the course content, and here, the virtual study studio. So as you can see, I have access to 107 of these. Now, every Thursday this happens. It is unlikely that I'm able to make these because I do work on Thursdays, usually around this time. However, I get to see all of the recordings that they have. And what I like is that you can actually email questions you might have based on whatever material you're studying or whatever you might be working with at that time. And you can send them in advance, and they actually do read them. They go over them in those Zoom lessons or Zoom classes, which I know because I've been watching the recordings. So the fact that they are all conveniently here is great. They have a pretty good discussion on a specific topic every week, and that topic's going to be different from week to week. So it's new material all the time. And then you get that Q&A session, and that Q&A comes right after based on, of course, anything that people submitted here. So even though this is around an hour, you can see, you can submit questions, and things are going to be all of those extras that they have here. You can see how many are here, 107. That's 107 weeks worth of content that I have access to, even though I haven't had access to this course for 107 weeks. And that to me is just outstanding. There are so many things, general Q&A, things about being present as an instructor. I can actually go through things like specifically warming up the feet, or balancing, or modifying people's postures with blocks. There you can see here just so many different things. Cueing. I actually just watched the one on cueing, and I love that because cueing is just anything that's going to help your students really take to heart whatever it is you're telling them. You know, make sure that their posture is exactly what it needs to be and aligned properly. So you can see here, I could just go through and pick the questions I have. Vocal tones and voice. Obviously, my really excited voice that I use when I get excited talking about yoga is not the voice that I use when I'm teaching yoga, because that would be a bit much. But you can see here meditation, flow, culture, pranayama, so many things that you can look at. So I could probably just stop here, and this would be enough to absolutely make the price of this certification well worth it. You are not just getting a book, you are getting real questions, real content, and it's probably questions that other people have submitted that you would have submitted at some point. One of the things I found interesting was navigating your teaching community, right? So you can see here that each of these is about an hour long, and there's a lot of insight gained. They're like right here, you can see that these are just someone who's teaching you and answering your questions. And I have stumbled already across questions regarding my instruction as a yoga instructor that I didn't realize I was going to have. So the fact that I can submit those makes it totally worth it. Now, I'm going to step away from that because while that is great, it is not the only benefit to working with ISSA and getting the yoga certification. You also get discounts, things like 90 days free for mixed yoga. You can sign up for that. 50% off Allo Moves. I used to use Allo Moves for months, or not months, years. I used it for about 5 years. And I love that you get partner discounts. I love that there is a full help center. And when you first get started with your course content, they walk you through everything you need. And it is very comprehensive. So if you've never taken an ISSA certification, don't worry. This gives you all the details for every single step. Whether that's navigating the coursework, you can see here this video shows you exactly what it is you'll need when you sign up. how to move through the courses, how to sign up for the courses, how to access the courses, any assessment details, any awards, all of that. And after each of your chapters, there's actually going to be a quiz. And once you complete the quiz, it unlocks the next level. Now, course materials are going to look different from one week to the next. So let's just pop in here to week 3 and see what we have going on. So each week has different modules. And you can see here that this is on our sacral chakra, right? So that center of the body, center of your emotional expression, and it's divided into 3 categories. So that first one is going to focus on the art of cueing, making sure that people have that deep awareness of their pelvic floor, making sure that they're able to center themselves, and then understanding the actual anatomy behind those postures, particularly Sun B part 1 and 2. And then the concept of asana in yoga. And these chapters all build on one another. They'll all give you a module overview when you first start, so you know exactly what your theme is going to be. Everything you need in this particular certification is going to be right here, right in this area. You're going to have readings, you're going to have lots of videos, so make sure that you've put yourself in a quiet place when you get started, and lots of activities. You don't actually need to follow along with the course textbook for the Yoga 200 certification from ISSA, and that's something I like. I have taken several other certifications through ISSA, and I prefer ordering the physical book because it gives me good references that, I just like that tactile engagement. But here, you don't need the book to go with the content because they have wonderful things like videos, audio, and I'll step right into this. Every single course you do, every week, you start with a meditation. There is a small guided meditation to help get you in the right mood, get you focused. You can actually hear how much calmer I feel just thinking about those meditations because I love them. They put you in the perfect frame of mind for starting that information, absorbing that information from a good place. So those are things you can start every time. It's going to be the first thing. And then setting intentions for the week. So these training videos, some of them are only a few minutes, some are 20 minutes. I think some have been even longer than that, but I have learned something from every single training video. So these modules include not just the video content, but underneath that video content, this educational content, right? So some of it's pictures, some of it is text, some of it's audio, some of it's video. You can see here lots of cueing concepts. So now I can break these down. I can look at all of these. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can see here that there are lots of tips. Now this content comes from your book, but you can see here that it's broken up in a chunked way. And we call this chunking, right? A much easier way to understand what you are reviewing. And more importantly, having the audio, the video, and the text format, sometimes with pictures, charts, and graphs, makes that exposure, increases that exposure. So you're getting exposure in multiple forms, which enhances the likelihood that you will really absorb that information and maintain it, which for me is essential. Now, after all of that, you'll have a practice segment. So at the end of each of your segments, you'll have this practice area, and I love that opportunity. When you are done, you'll have a quiz. And once you finish your quiz, you'll be able to go through your weekly review, right? This is a short video that, again, reinforces everything you've learned. And then you'll have that quiz. And if you didn't pass with 80%, then go back and do it again. You won't see those quizzes pop up until you have completed the content from the week prior. And you can see here this week 3 review, 43 minutes. So this is a pretty long review because this is 3 modules worth of content that you're reviewing. I cannot stress enough how truly comprehensive this Yoga 200 certification really is. And the fact that it is one of the only courses I've taken from ISSA that has this much information in so many different setups, including the practice breakdowns, the video, the audio, and the text, really speaks well to the design of this particular unit and everything you get with it. I absolutely love the course content. I love the layout. You'll be able to see your course home there obviously tracks your progress. The content here shows you what you still have. Your assessments here will show you your quizzes and what you've completed. And then, of course, the help center is there for anything you need. If there are announcements, they pop up first thing. And beyond that, you have access to the weekly virtual study studio, which I can't think of any other organization that offers those live weekly Zoom calls. That is truly something that goes above and beyond, not least of which because they are recorded and you have continued access to them. Literally, I have over 100 that I'm working through, and you get those partner discounts. So I genuinely cannot say enough good things about this particular course. It is absolutely worth every dollar, and well worth investing in your future.